They appeared without warning. No fiery descent, no dramatic announcement, just silence. One moment, Earth's skies were normal. The next, they were crowded with dark geometric shapes hanging motionless above every major continent. Satellite images confirmed their staggering size, miles across, each casting shadows the size of cities. Nations scrambled jets, launch interceptors, fire flares, and nukes. Nothing landed, nothing moved, and nothing responded. Within the first 12 hours, communications worldwide began failing. GPS blackouts, sensor glitches, and inexplicable electromagnetic haze shrouded the atmosphere. Air traffic collapsed. Power grids began to blink. Panic spread faster than the anomalies. Some believed it was solar flares. Others screamed of alien invasion. But no one knew. Colonel Myachin knew this wasn't random. She'd been sidelined from her role as Chief Systems Analyst at Global Defense Command for uncovering internal corruption. Reassigned to a derelict Arctic outpost, she had nothing to do but watch. But Maya watched everything. Her instruments, unlike the newer models fried by electromagnetic pulses, were analog and untouched. She pieced together fragments of strange frequencies, highly compressed bursts of data from the hovering structures. To others, they sounded like static. To her, it was a countdown. At 1946 Universal Time Coordinated, the sky over Earth dimmed, even in daylight. Then came the message. A tone, not heard but felt, rippled across every device with a screen. Every phone, every broadcast, every satellite feed synchronized and displayed the same text in perfect translation. Designated sphere, 089-3, local identifier, Earth, is now secured under 4th Galactic Alliance Directive 17B. Strategic Anchor Designation. Compliance is mandatory. Resistance is irrelevant. No ships landed. No soldiers deployed. They didn't care about resistance. Earth wasn't being invaded. It was being repurposed. Governments scrambled for meaning. Was it a threat? A warning? A mistake? Military leaders in North America and Asia convened emergency war rooms. Religious leaders cried Armageddon. Tech giants attempted to decode the message, but nothing worked. The data streams were beyond their understanding. Earth's most brilliant minds were toddlers to the ones who sent that signal. Maya submitted her report through an outdated secure channel. Her analysis was ignored by command, still frozen by confusion and ego. But she wasn't waiting for orders. Her conclusion was clear. Earth had been mapped, tagged, and claimed. Not because it was rich in resources or uniquely hostile, but because it occupied a perfect spatial junction between two galactic sectors in active conflict. A shortcut, a military bottleneck, a cosmic parking lot. The aliens, whoever they were, didn't even bother to acknowledge Earth's sovereignty, not out of malice, but indifference. To them, humanity was background noise. 3 days later, the pylons arrived. They fell from orbit like needles, embedding themselves deep into the Earth's crust at precise geospatial coordinates. One in the Mariana Trench, one in the Amazon Basin, another beneath the Himalayas. In total, there were 12. They began emitting low-frequency pulses that shifted Earth's magnetic field ever so slightly. The skies changed color. Wildlife migrated in reverse. Tides began to stutter. This wasn't occupation. It was integration. The UN convened an emergency summit that devolved into shouting matches. No nation could agree on a response. Some proposed surrendering outright, arguing Earth's survival depended on compliance. Others demanded retaliation. Some simply denied the event was real. Conspiracies bloomed. Riots flared. Economies teetered. But Myachin wasn't interested in politics. She was a strategist, trained to recognize patterns. And she saw one glaring truth. These beings didn't understand humanity. They categorized life in systems, in data sets. They mapped sentience by neural frequency, categorized threat levels by energy output. And by their metrics, humans were beneath consideration. Not even prey, just ambient noise. That ignorance was humanity's only advantage. She knew what came next. If Earth was being turned into a military anchor, then the atmosphere would be terraformed, gravity adjusted, the oceans drained for fuel or construction. Humans wouldn't be exterminated, just relocated, archived, forgotten. On the seventh day, new transmissions arrived, this time audio. A rhythmic, multitonal language overlaid with patterns of light, sound, and resonance. It wasn't a communication. It was a command, and it came with a deadline. Earth's biosphere would be stabilized in 40 cycles, estimated 19 Earth days. Following that, construction would begin. Any local structures not cleared would be flattened. Civilian life was to be moved into containment zones, to be processed for mobility transition. Those terms meant nothing to Earth's leaders. Maya understood them instantly. We were being boxed up, shipped out, like clutter in a garage. She tapped into old back channels, military, scientific, intelligence, reaching out to contacts who still trusted her. She urged preparation, not in conventional warfare, but in adaptation. She advised them to study, not to strike, to observe, not to panic, and most of all, to prepare for unpredictability, because humans were erratic, emotional, irrational, and these invaders didn't know how to deal with that. The aliens may have had ships the size of continents and energy sources beyond physics, but they lacked one thing: imagination. Maya posted a final message to a secure human-only frequency. We are not at war. We are being ignored. Use that. Most of Earth was frozen in fear, but in the cracks of that paralysis, something began to stir. Not coordinated armies or brave generals, but individuals. Engineers in Siberia, biologists in Madagascar, coders in Sao Paulo, farmers in Iowa, artists in Tokyo, all watching, thinking, plotting. The countdown had begun. The invaders thought they were installing a base. What they were actually doing was lighting a fuse. And Earth was about to remember what it was made of. The transformation was methodical. The 12 pylons, now fully embedded across the globe, began resonating in perfect sync. Underground vibrations rose to a low hum, imperceptible to most, but unmistakable to the few who still paid attention. The sky shifted subtly, shades of violet where there once was blue. The sun filtered through an atmosphere slowly being reshaped by unseen physics. Across major population centers, alien constructs began to appear, black monoliths shaped like twisted obelisks, floating inches above the ground. They emitted no light, no sound. Yet any human who approached them too closely felt disoriented, nauseated, or simply collapsed unconscious. Autonomous drones constructed entire facilities within hours, employing self-replicating material that seemed to defy natural law. Earth, still teeming with life, was being overlaid with another world. The invaders didn't impose martial law. They didn't give orders to humans or occupy government buildings. They ignored everything biological unless it interfered with their installations. That indifference was worse than hostility. Humans weren't enemies. They were irrelevant. Mayflies. Colonel Mayachin operated from beneath an abandoned nuclear bunker in Norway. Power from an old hydro dam kept her systems alive. With help from rogue satellites and salvaged optical fibers, she established a shadow network across the globe, resistance not by force, but by intellect. Her team wasn't military. They were misfits, disenfranchised engineers, rejected physicists, anarchist programmers, rogue biologists. United by one fact: they were ignored, underestimated, and overlooked. They called themselves the Dust Protocol. If they were going to survive, they had to become dust, everywhere, invisible and lethal when inhaled. Maya's first objective was understanding the pylons. Their energy signatures pulsed in perfect intervals, syncing with tectonic plates, ocean currents, and even the planet's magnetic field. But their architecture relied on rigidity, redundancy, predictability. The alien infrastructure was flawless, but inflexible. It was built on control. Humans were the opposite, and that was her opening. Resistance began in absurd places. Farmers in Kenya discovered that cattle grazing near pylons disrupted signal harmonics. The cows' metallic tags created microinterference bursts. In Bolivia, a group of teenagers found that certain tribal drums resonated with the pylon pulses, causing temporary feedback loops. None of this was planned. It just happened. Accidents. Chaos. Maya compiled the anomalies. Then she weaponized them. She deployed modified harmonics via pirate radio. Ancient wind instruments tuned to irrational frequency ratios played over rooftops. Old analog televisions were rigged to generate disruptive interference. Children with kazoos and pets were sent near alien structures. Dogs triggered low-level panic in alien drones. Unknown allergens caused their sensory systems to spike and reboot. It wasn't war. It was sabotage by improvisation. The invaders didn't retaliate. They adjusted, shifted frequencies, deployed new shielding, but the attacks kept evolving. The Dust Protocol operated like a virus, testing, learning, mutating. There was no central command, no hierarchy, just thousands of isolated minds with one mission: destabilize the occupation through noise, nonsense, and novelty. The aliens began to notice. Internal communications were intercepted. Maya's network tapped into alien field logs through a hacked translation matrix. Their observations were clinical. Subject class: biolife, 3B human. Behavior erratic. Non-systemic interference increasing. Recommend reclassification from ambient to irritant. Threat level remains negligible. That classification was all Maya needed. They still didn't see humans as a threat. And that blindness was her greatest asset. Maya pushed harder. In Australia, resistance teams built mirrored obelisks made of junk metal and positioned them next to the alien monoliths. The reflected electromagnetic fields confused the alien sensors. In Russia, mathematicians created algorithms based on chaotic patterns. Earth's own weather systems used a scramble pylon synchronization. In Brazil, a colony of genetically modified termites was released near a key alien relay station. It collapsed within days, consumed from the inside by bugs no sensor had ever been programmed to detect. Each act was small, petty, infuriatingly human. But together, they added up. The aliens attempted local containment zones. Drone patrols expanded. Fields of suppression were deployed. But they lacked finesse. They didn't understand the culture they were trying to overwrite. Humans didn't react the way other species did. Fear didn't lead to surrender. Chaos didn't result in collapse. It bred ingenuity. The moment a quarantine zone was established, it became a testing ground. Locals tossed everything at it: tinfoil, magnets, fireworks, chalk drawings, sound recordings of crying babies, and once a live rooster painted with ultraviolet dye. Each time, something got through. Something worked. Something failed. They learned. One alien fleet captain sent a message back to their central AI construct. Planet exhibits terminal unpredictability. Behavioral mapping ineffective. Tactical integration timeline. Requires reassessment. Maya read that line over and over again. Tactical integration timeline. Requires reassessment. It was a crack. Then came the critical breakthrough. A low-ranking alien drone ship was brought down by an unexpected fault. Someone in Iceland had mounted a homemade Tesla coil to a weather balloon. The resulting electromagnetic spike forced the ship to land for repairs. Maya's team reached it first. Inside, they found more than technology. They found data, schematics of the anchor network, full models of Earth's projected terraformation, and a glimpse of the galactic hierarchy behind the invasion. Earth wasn't alone. Other worlds had already fallen, silently converted into silent anchor nodes, each stripped of its voice, its history, and its people. But none of those worlds had fought back. Earth was unique. Maya had what she needed. With the stolen data, she now understood the phase sequencing used to sync the pylons. She could predict their timing. And that meant she could disrupt it. The Dust Protocol went dark. Communication ceased. No more sabotage. No more chaos. The aliens believed they had won. Resistance had burned out. Integration continued. But it hadn't ended. It had just gone quiet. Because now, it wasn't about random attacks. Now it was about precision. Maya wasn't trying to save Earth anymore. She was planning to take it back. The silence was deliberate. For 13 days, Earth held its breath. The Dust Protocol vanished from alien detection. No more noise, no interference, no anomalies. The pylons resumed their harmonics uninterrupted. Terraforming procedures accelerated. Sky layer composition altered daily. The ionosphere shifted. Ocean temperatures began to drop. Alien constructs expanded into the upper atmosphere. Vast rings of dark infrastructure encircling the planet like mechanical halos. Earth was nearly ready to become the Galactic Alliance's newest anchor. The invaders had relaxed. Maya Chen's network had not. They were underground now, figuratively and literally. Every member of Dust Protocol operated off-grid, deep in cold zones, shielded bunkers, electromagnetic dead zones, and forgotten rural wastelands. No cell signals, no digital transmissions. They used analog tech, repurposed World War-era radios, Morse, and signal mirrors. Communications were inconvenient, slow, and untraceable. Perfect. The recovered alien ship had revealed the invasion's true structure. 12 pylons operated in synchronization, each paired to a central orbital relay, functioning as a single planetary nervous system. Disrupt one, and the system adapted. Disrupt all simultaneously, and it entered a fail-safe state. Soft reset, 6 minutes of total vulnerability. 6 minutes to crash the entire integration system. But Earth couldn't launch a global assault. Every government had fractured. Militaries were disbanded. Cities partially evacuated. Trust shattered. Maya didn't need armies. She needed 12 teams. One for each pylon. Human teams, each with a singular mission. Disrupt the synchronization pattern for exactly 13 seconds. It wouldn't destroy the pylons, but it would force a systemic cascade. And for 13 seconds, Earth would be in control. She didn't send soldiers. She sent whoever was left. A blind radio operator in Alaska, a retired geologist in South Africa, a gang of graffiti artists in Berlin, a paraplegic hacker in Mumbai, a nun in the Andes, a jazz musician in New Orleans. Every one of them had already fought their own war. Every one of them knew how to survive unnoticed. Now they were asked to be precise. Each team was equipped with handcrafted disruptors, cobbled from scrap tech, powered by stolen alien energy cores, housed in suitcases that looked like junk. The devices weren't weapons. They were frequency hammers, each programmed with a slight variation of the planet's own electromagnetic resonance, engineered to knock the pylon off sync without tripping its self-defense system. One shot, one moment, no second chances. On the 14th day, at 2:14 Universal Time Coordinated, Earth blinked. 12 pulses, 12 locations. The disruptors activated simultaneously. Across the planet, the air itself seemed to catch in its lungs. Trees shivered. Birds dropped mid-flight. Ocean waves froze mid-crest. The pylons flickered, first dimming, then flashing erratically. A low-pitched tremor shook the planet's crust like a deep, metallic groan. Maya stared at her seismic monitor. For seconds, the orbital relays blinked out. 5. Alien constructs began to stall, some collapsing midair. 6. A high-pitched wail erupted across all frequencies. Alien communication signals surged with panic. 7. Pylons retracted slightly, unsure whether to reboot or defend. 8. The Earth's atmosphere reverted to its natural charge the first time in weeks. 9. The clouds cleared. 10. Maya keyed in the final command. 11. Every backup satellite she'd secretly reactivated fired the same encoded signal skyward. 12. The reset failed. 13. The entire alien control network crashed. The pylons emitted a single harmonic burst before going dark. The orbital relays ceased transmission. Alien drones stuttered, hovered, then dropped. In the stratosphere, the massive ring structures fragmented, disintegrating into shards of black glass that burned up on re-entry. For the first time since the event began, Earth's sky was clear. The silence was profound, but it didn't last. The Galactic Alliance responded instantly. A new fleet appeared beyond lunar orbit. Sleek, silver crescents equipped with planetary suppression rays. This time, they were ready to fight. Humanity had lost its status as ambient background. Earth had moved from irritant to active hostile, but Maya had expected that. The data she recovered showed Earth was unique in more ways than its position. Its composition, rotation speed, and electromagnetic spectrum made it incompatible with typical suppression tech. Every other world that had been converted was already stable, quiet, predictable. Earth wasn't. She issued one final command. The Dust Protocol activated Phase 2, Deterrence. Thousands of hidden devices, embedded across the globe, activated in sync. Instead of attacking the alien fleet, they attacked space-time itself. Pulse bombs, derived from alien tech, unfolded microsingularities in the upper atmosphere, causing real-time quantum echoes that made targeting systems fail. The alien fleet's weapons fired, but missed, repeatedly. No two Earth coordinates stayed fixed. Every attempt to suppress a target resulted in either failure or self-inflicted damage. Earth had become hostile terrain, a minefield of anomalies, a technological nightmare. The galactic fleet hesitated, then paused, then pulled back, not out of fear, but confusion. Earth wasn't worth the cost. A week passed. No counterattack came. The skies remained empty. The alien pylons, once silent beacons of dominion, were now inert towers. The world governments slowly emerged from their bunkers. Maya remained underground, broadcasting a message to every corner of the planet. You are not conquered. You are not saved. You are unnoticed again. Stay that way. Across Earth, people began dismantling the alien tech, not to destroy it, but to learn from it. Hackers reverse-engineered propulsion coils. Physicists mapped energy nodes. Artists carved alien alloys into sculptures. Farmers planted gardens beneath dormant pylons. Earth had not returned to normal. It had evolved. And so had humanity. Maya watched from a lonely cliff in Iceland as the auroras returned, the sky unfiltered and real. She knew this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a different war, a cold war of attention, of presence, of power and visibility. Earth was now marked, cataloged, known, but it was also feared. And maybe, just maybe, that fear was enough. Because in the grand calculus of galactic war, Earth had committed the unthinkable. It had disobeyed. And worse, it had won. The Galactic Alliance never formally withdrew. It simply stopped sending ships. Silence became their stance. Earth, now off-limits, was marked strategically non-viable, a bureaucratic label that masked the truth. They didn't know what Earth might do next. What kind of species built chaos into its defense grid? What kind of civilization turned improvisation into a weapon? But Mayachin understood the real reason. Earth wasn't just a battlefield. It was now a precedent. In the void left behind, Earth found itself surrounded not by conquerors, but by watchers. Probes from unknown factions blinked into orbit, observing from a distance. Not alliance, not human, curious, wary. The signals they sent weren't hostile. They were coded in mathematical puzzles, tones of cautious diplomacy. It wasn't an invitation. It was a test. The question now wasn't whether Earth belonged in the galactic order. It was whether Earth was too dangerous to include. Humanity responded in kind, not through global government decrees or planetary announcements, but through hundreds of private initiatives. Rogue scientists turned former alien nodes into quantum communication hubs. Nomadic engineers launched jury-rigged probes beyond Pluto, carrying recordings of resistant songs and strange art encoded in fractal formats. A graffiti tag from Rio now orbited Jupiter's third moon. Earth wasn't reaching out politely. It was broadcasting madness, beauty, defiance, and slowly, the universe took notice. The Galactic Alliance, humiliated but cautious, changed its tone. They offered indirect contact, no apology, no guilt, just a message. We acknowledge your planet's integration is incompatible with current anchor procedures. A neutral observation treaty is proposed. No further action will be taken as stability is maintained. Maya read the message and signed, stripped of emotion. It wasn't a peace offering. It was an armistice out of necessity. Earth had proven unpredictable, and unpredictability couldn't be controlled. She didn't respond. Not officially. Instead, she redirected the alien transmission to every pirate radio station on the planet. It was played with static distortion, remixed with lo-fi beats, looped into street performances and light shows. The message became a meme, a joke, a reminder. Earth didn't forget, but it wasn't the same planet anymore. The Dust Protocol disbanded, but not in failure. Its members scattered back in the wild, building new networks, new tools, new philosophies. Some joined underground universities, teaching alien physics in subway tunnels. Others became myth, ghosts and machine, guardians of a planet that didn't want saving, only space to grow. In Mongolia, a group of children played in the ruins of fallen pylon, its once impervious alloy now rusting like any other metal. One boy found a shard and turned it into a whistle. The sound it made wasn't natural, and every time he blew it, birds flew in spirals. No one stopped him. In Lagos, a new power grid formed, an amalgamation of human and alien tech. Clean, decentralized, and nearly free. It wasn't governed by any nation. It was protected by the people who built it, node by node, on rooftops and alleyways. There were no security guards, only community trust. And it worked. On the edges of society, strange new cults emerged, some worshiping the silence left behind, others treating Earth as a galaxy's cursed heart. But the dominant faith was simpler: survival without surrender, a belief in the unfinished story of a species too reckless to kneel and too stubborn to break. Maya kept moving. No base, no titles, no team, just her, a bag of old tech, and the knowledge that Earth's greatest defense wasn't its weapons or strategies. It was its ability to adapt without waiting for permission, and it needed to adapt again, because something else was coming. Not another fleet, not another war, but a ripple in space, a signal repeating the same phrase in cascading pulses. They failed. You remain. We are listening. It wasn't from the Alliance. Maya traced the origin. Deep space. Beyond Alliance influence, a dead zone where anchors had never reached, a sector labeled unstable, long ignored. The coordinates translated to a location just outside the gravitational reach of a rogue black star. Nothing should have survived there, yet the message continued. Simple, persistent, not a warning, a summons. Earth had been left standing, but it wasn't the only world that had resisted. Somewhere out there were others. Survivors, perhaps rebels, perhaps monsters, but kindred in one way. They had not folded. Maya transmitted a single reply. Coordinates. No message. No context. Just proof that Earth had cracked the code. That Earth was no longer a quiet planet hiding beneath stars. It was a voice, one that shouted without fear. Days later, an unknown craft entered Earth's orbit. It did not cloak. It did not land. It simply hovered, its hull scarred, patched with alloys no Earth scanner could identify. The design wasn't alien. It wasn't human. It was both. The ship sent no demands. No weapons deployed. Instead, it released a sphere, small, humming, glowing with soft orange light. It descended to ground outside Reykjavik and opened, revealing a single item, a black box. Inside was a map. 12 systems, marked in blood-red glyphs. All had been anchor worlds. All now read as inactive, silent, like Earth. A message appeared beside it. You aren't the first to rise, but you may be the first to gather. Maya smiled, not at the message, but at the challenge it posed. Humanity didn't need a seat at the galactic table. It needed a new table entirely, one built by survivors, forged in resistance, and tempered by the one thing the galaxy had underestimated for too long: humanity's refusal to vanish. The day Earth became a galactic military base was not the day it was conquered. It was the day it stopped playing by someone else's rules and started writing its own.